Welcome to another edition of NIU Weekly, and a special Senior Day episode this week as we prepare for the final regular season home game this year for the Huskies as they take on Central Michigan at Huskie Stadium this Saturday. I'm Terry Bonadonna, happy to be with you once again as your host on NIU Weekly. Big game this weekend, a Saturday afternoon start, 2:30. So we're right back to where we were a little bit earlier in the season as our midweek action comes to a close this year, which means maybe a little bit more comfort in the recording schedule here for NIU Weekly. We've got a really good show today because, of course, Thomas Hammock will be here talking about all the seniors that are going to be honored on Senior Day this Saturday. And there are a lot of seniors to talk about. So we'll be going through all of those. And then a little bit later on as well, we'll be joined by Mark Lindo, who is the great color commentator on the radio broadcast for Huskies football and has been for the past 40 years. So we're going to talk to him about his recollections of the last 40 years on Husky broadcasts. Before we do get into today's show, just a few things I want to mention. Number one, that football game on Saturday, you do have a chance to come on out to Huskie Stadium, and you can also cap off your Thanksgiving holiday by donating to the Husky Food Pantry. They'll be accepting canned goods as NIU Athletics and Brian Bemis Toyota of DeKalb are teaming up to donate 1,000 canned items. Reserve seat tickets for this Saturday are just $23 each, with Eastside general admission tickets still available at the promotional price of $12.50 in honor of the Huskies' 125th anniversary celebration. To get those tickets, go to niuhuskies.com/tickets or call 815-753-7225 on Wednesday to order your tickets. Also, of course, because of that weird Maction schedule, we weren't able to get a show out last week. So there is some news from last week that I want to make sure you are aware of. And it is exciting news. Victor eThreads is now available to order online. So go to niuhuskies.com/Victor eThreads and check out some of the more than 150 different styles available. That includes official Adidas gear, Fighting Husky branded hats and shirts, and a whole lot more. To get your holiday shopping started, and of course, to celebrate the opening of the online store, you can get 10% off your purchases through Black Friday. That's this Friday, November 29th. Just go online and use the code BlackFriday10. All right, news and notes out of the way for now. Let's welcome in our first guest. Our first guest on NIU Weekly today is, as always, the head coach of the Huskies football team, Thomas Hammock. Coach, welcome once again to NIU Weekly.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We've got a big season finale coming up against Central Michigan on Saturday, and it's big specifically because it's Senior Day, and it's not going to be a small Senior Day. 30 different seniors are going to be honored on Saturday. It's the largest senior class in school history. 20 of those 30 guys have been with NIU for their entire career, and I know this is a big senior class for you because some of these guys have been with you since the beginning. These guys won the conference championship in 2021. They won the Camellia Bowl last year. They beat Notre Dame this year. So they've all been a part of some big things at NIU. I'm going to do my best to try to get you to talk about each one of these guys, but just in general, to get us started, what has this senior class meant to you?
It means a lot. When you see young guys come in your program and you have a chance to spend an extended amount of time with them and watch them grow and develop and become great men, it gives you a lot of joy as a coach that you're doing the right things to help guys off the field. And as we know, that's the most important because you only with them for a short time, and hopefully they learn some valuable life lessons along the way that's going to help them when they leave your program.
One of the things we talked about at the beginning of the season is just how rare it is in the era of the transfer portal to see this many guys stick with one school from the beginning of their college career to the end of it. How have you been able to foster that kind of program?
Well, we have a great culture here. I think the culture is established. We treat guys the right way. We love them. We help them develop on and off the football field, and we make sure that they graduate. And I think when you have a culture like we have and the type of young men in the program, it becomes very, very easy to come into work knowing that, guys are going to do the right things. When I go to bed at night, I'm not concerned about my phone ringing because these guys know what it takes, how to do things, and they are showing the younger guys in our program so they can become leaders as well.
I want to talk about each of these guys. We can't go one by one because there's just too many guys. We don't have that much time. But we'll go by position groups. And I know you always like to start inside out. Let's talk about the offensive line a little bit. And if I miss anybody along the way, you're very welcome to yell at me. But I've got J.J. Lippy, John Champ, Evan Buss, Logan Schernitz, Matt Schooley, all seniors on that offensive line. And all of those guys have seen significant time this year.
Yeah, I love that group. Wisconsin has been very, very good to us in the recruiting process. All these guys, they came to camp and earned a scholarship the hard way. And they have developed our program the way we thought. And the strength of our team is up front on the offensive line and defensive line. And that group has really done a phenomenal job helping lead our program. J.J. Lippy, John Champ, Evan Buss, Logan Schernitz, Evan Malcor, as a young guy learning from those older guys of how to do things the right way, the hard way. And I couldn't be more excited about those guys.
We'll flip it around to the other side of the ball on the defensive line. Devontae O'Malley's the guy who started his career as a walk-on. He's got a chance to go to the NFL. And he's not the only guy on that line. You got Cade Haberman as well. You got Damon Taylor, Jacob Westcott, just a lot of guys on that defensive line as well. What have they meant to the team?
That's the backbone of our team, our defensive line. We have a top 10 defense in the country because of our defensive line. And just to give you a little bit about our D line, not only are they do things the right way, but this week they want Jacob Westcott to get the start as a senior. And to me, that's the epitome of what we're trying to build here, because he's not the only senior, but they admire him enough for the work that he's put into the program to give him the nod to be a starter this week. And that made me so happy and proud as a coach that these guys understand the big picture of doing things right all the time.
Let's talk about the linebackers. You've got Jaden Dolphin, who's been with you for 5 years. He's been a big-time player for this program. Christian Furman, a newcomer to the program, just transferred in this year. He was only here 1 year, but obviously a huge impact as a starting linebacker over the course of this season. And then the other senior in the linebacking corps is Joey Ratine, who we haven't seen as much on the defensive side, but has made some plays on special teams as well. What are you going to miss about those guys?
Yeah, Dolphin is a guy that came here 172 pounds, leaving here as a three-time starter at the linebacker position, has done things right. Joey Ratine, obviously his brother Nick played here. He's been a great special teams player for us the whole time. And then Furman, he come here for 1 year. The guys love him. He understood the hard way right away and has been a phenomenal leader for us in the middle of our defense.
You've been talking about the fact that this is a top 10 defense, and a big part of that is the experience. And, we could talk about that in the defensive backfield as well. Jay Sean Prophet, Nate Valcarcel, Jordan Hanson, Javon Bird. Every one of those guys, 3 of them are starters, but all 4 of them have played a lot of snaps on defense this year. What have they meant to the team?
Well, it meant a lot. We played all those guys as freshmen, and they took some lumps early in their career. They stuck with it and became great players on our defense. And we have a top 10 pass defense in the country, and it's because of those guys. And Javon Bird played as a true freshman. Prophet played early. Jordan Hanson started as a true freshman. And Nate, we recruited out of high school. He went to South Dakota and came back. But those guys have been the backbone of what we've been able to do defensively by shutting down the pass.
You're going to be losing most of your kicking game this year. Cannon Woodall is graduating, Tom Foley, the punter, and Isaac Hatfield as well, a guy that people don't necessarily know so much about. Long snapper doesn't get a lot of publicity, although he did get the moment this year on the 2-point conversion play at Bowling Green. But, those guys have all been involved in some big plays over the course of the years. The special teamers are kind of guys you don't notice so much unless something goes wrong. So it's good to give them their due as well when they're graduating.
We don't beat Notre Dame without our specialists operating at a high level. That game-winning kick, great snap by Isaac, great hold by Foley, and a great kick by Cannon. And those guys have meant a lot. Obviously, a lot of people don't know who they are because they do their job. And so I think that's very, very important, and happy with everything they've done for our program.
Let's look at the receivers that you've got graduating. Trayvon Rudolph, Andrew McElroy, who hasn't been in the program quite as long, but has had some nice catches this year. Grayson Barnes, Chris Carter, Tristan Tavis, those receivers and tight ends. That's a lot of targets who have made a lot of catches over the years at NIU.
Yeah, that group has been with us a long time, added some pieces here and there to try to, improve the production in the room. But Trayvon Rudolph has been a guy that was a freshman All-American. He walked on, did it the right way, going to get his degree in December. Those other guys have done great things for our offense, and they will be missed.
We'll look at the running backs. Ontario Brown, of course, has been a fantastic player here. Gavin Williams, who transferred in, he comes in as a backup, but has gotten so many big games over the course of his couple of years here as well. And then Brock Lampy, who is not a running back the way those other guys are, but he's been a fullback who, it seems like anytime there's a big play in a key moment in a game, he is in the mix there somewhere. So those are 3 big losses to the program as well who have been a big part of it.
Yeah, obviously AB, his career speaks for itself. Over 3,000 yards rushing. Gavin Williams had come in and done everything. Third down back, catching the ball out the backfield, running the ball, being a consummate pro in our program. And then Brock Lampy. I think he's one of the best fullbacks in the country. He provides a physical edge for our offense. And we are going to certainly miss all three of those guys.
What does it mean to you, senior day in general, when you go out there on Saturday and you see all of these guys honored and you know that everything that they've put into the program, not just on game days, but in practice and behind the scenes, and in the locker room, and knowing that there are so many team leaders there and guys who have been part of this program for several years, just to see them all out there honored, what is it going to mean to you?
It's going to be emotional, right? A lot of these guys started when I started. And so all these guys have been recruited by us. And so to see them out there one last time in Huskie Stadium, you start thinking about when they were 17, 18 years old and how they've grown in the program. It's going to be emotional. And to me, by them walking out there as seniors means a job well done. They've done it the right way. They've done it the hard way. And they've been a positive impact on our program.
Another weird week at NIU this week in terms of the schedule. Of course, we've had the MACtion midweek games over the last few weeks. Now we're back on a Saturday, but it's a holiday week. So probably a good time to get the extra few days of rest because everybody can get a chance to enjoy Thanksgiving a little bit. What are your Thanksgiving plans?
We got practice this week, but certainly want to spend time with my family, my wife, my two kids, and just be thankful for, everything that we have, and we're healthy and in the right frame of mind and living life. And I'm just grateful to be at NIU, having an opportunity to make a positive impact on the people in our program.
Well, Coach, as always, I'm thankful that you're willing to spend some time with me on the show every week. So thank you for stopping by and good luck this week against Central Michigan.
Thank you, and go Huskies.
Our next guest on NIU Weekly today, a very special guest, one I'm really excited about because I've never gotten a chance to talk to him before. So this is a first for me. It's Mark Lindo celebrating his 40th year as the color analyst on Husky Sports Radio. Mark, you are going to be finishing up your 40th regular season this coming Saturday when NIU takes on Central Michigan. Thanks for joining me. I know that kind of makes you a young pup as far as NIU radio goes over the last few years, but I would love to hear a little bit about how you got started with Northern Illinois University 40 years ago.
Hey, Terry, thanks for having me. And it's been a great season with you down on the sideline. And we've already had a lot of fun. And hopefully, the closer against Central Michigan and then a would-be bowl game, we'll have some more fun as this goes along. But yeah, 40 years is kind of hard to tie up memories because there are so many. Obviously, I would probably start with, the first game that I did, and that was in 1985. I always remember that game because it was my first game. It was Jerry Pettibone's first game. And I actually did that game down on the sideline. And I remember doing the post-game interview with Coach Pettibone, and the Huskies had a 17-0 opening night victory over Western Michigan, a non-conference game at that point. So that was a lot of fun. And as if we went year by year, Coach Pettibone was there for 5 years. Program struggled a little bit with Charlie Sadler for 5 years. His stamp will be on the program forever. And obviously, you take the Coach Gill and Coach Dorn years and Coach Carey and now Coach Hammock. It's been fun, and all of those people are good people, and all were impactful on my life as well. But a lot of memories. I remember the stadium being empty at different games. I remember the stadium being packed a couple times. The Maryland game jumps out. The Eastern Illinois game jumps out at me on an opening night after the Orange Bowl. So those were just really, really special atmospheres. Obviously, the Notre Dame game this year, Alabama in 2003. And Terry, the Alabama, you've heard about that season so many times. I know you followed it, but that season was a travesty in regards to NIU not making a bowl. I mean, you beat nationally ranked Maryland in front of scalped out tickets. You beat Iowa State. You go to Alabama and win. You play on College game day against Bowling Green. You finish with 10 wins and don't go to a bowl. I mean, what's up with that? Come on. Those are some great memories, and sometimes I'll cherish, for forever. It's just been an honor and a pleasure for me to be able to be a part of some of those games.
You told me right before we started recording, you don't have a memory for any of this stuff. And then immediately you come out with scores from 40 years ago. So I know I can't believe you. How
You
did
don't
you
believe
first
me anymore, huh?
how did you first get involved with NIU? I mean, you can't have imagined, I assume, when you started back in 1985 that you would still be doing this 40 years later.
I thought I'd do year by year, and Bill Baker, the legendary voice of NIU, is the one that gave me my first opportunity. Bill covered my games when I was coaching. We started a partnership, a friendship, and I started working a couple state tournaments with him for local radio station WKKD. And when a job opened up in '85 out of Clear Blue, he said, "Why don't you join us in the network?" And I was about as ready for that as nothing. As far as my preparation, I just had done, coaching, both basketball and baseball. And, but I had the media background because of those things, and we were pretty well covered in those days as well. So Bill gave me an opportunity, and the rest is history. He and I had an incredibly great run together. I'm very appreciative of him because it's been able to get me out into other avenues of broadcasting and other opportunities. And he was definitely a mentor for me. And, we basically traveled the country together for years and had some really good times and some memories of laughs. And so, everything's back to Bill Baker and my start in my opportunity to do media broadcasting at all. And, again, I know you'd ask me anyway, but to work with people like Bill and Sid Simmons and Casey Kaler and Andy Garcia and Terry Bonadonna and all the people that I've been on air with, besides all the people behind the scenes, whether it be production or the studios or the people in strategic communications or all the athletic administration, it's been a great ride for me. And I've met many Husky friends as well. So it's been nothing but a blessing is what it's been.
Yeah, one of the incredible things about your tenure at NIU is I kind of teased you about it at the beginning. You were not the longest tenured person on the radio team for most of the time you were there. This is your 40. For 39 years, you worked with the same play-by-play guy. That has to have been really interesting to see how that developed over the years, because I know, especially working with you over the course of this year, how much preparation you put into this stuff and how much you think about how the broadcasts sound and what can the broadcast do to be better next week. And so this year, in a sense, has been very interesting, I think, for you because you've been working with Andy instead of Bill. And of course, I've been in there to throw you around a little bit. But I mean, for the most part, for 39 years, you're working with the same people. How do you feel like you developed as a broadcaster over that time and how the broadcast developed?
I think the broadcast, had an identity, and what happened with Bill and me following his lead because he was definitely the voice of the Huskies, was we became so familiar with each other that we knew who was going to say what and when. It was almost automatic, and a lot of times there's meetings and there's what are we going to do here? What are we going to do there? We didn't do much of that at the end because everything just fell into place. We knew the script, if you will. We knew how things were going to fall into place. We knew what I knew what my role was and how I could be a help to any broadcast. And Bill was very good about that. And it was just it was a great opportunity to do that for 39 years. And I don't want to go on record officially, but I think at that point last duo, combination in NCAA Division I athletics. There was longer play-by-play guys, longer collar analysts, but we think the longest pair in the entire country, which is quite an accomplishment. And that's God's blessing, right? That we were both healthy enough to do it, and still enjoyed doing it. And we had families that were very supportive. I mean, my family's been so supportive of my coaching career and my broadcasting career. I couldn't be any more fortunate, and a shout out to them. Family, special wife to be a coach's wife and be a broadcaster's wife, and my family put up with both those passions that I have had throughout my life.
You've talked a little bit about some of the broadcasters that you've worked with over the years. You've also gotten a chance, of course, to work with a lot of different coaches at NIU, both head coaches and coordinators. I know you have been in the habit for a long time of talking with the coordinators during the week leading up to a game. What kind of insight do you generally get from these guys? And have you worked with guys over the course of the years where you can pick somebody out and say, this guy is going to have a big future in coaching?
Yeah, I have been very fortunate and important to get out for me to get out to practice, at least once a week, obviously numerous times before the season, but to get a flavor for what's going on, try to stay updated. One of the things with the influx of television now, and every game being on somewhere, is that you still want people to feel like they're getting a little bit more. So I want to be able to give those insights to people. That's why I go and try to find this one little nugget, whether it be from the OC or the DC or from a head coach or from walking the sidelines and trying to say, hey, what's up with a player, what have you. So I just think that's preparation. And if you want to be on top of your game, I think, again, this goes back to my coaching. You have to prepare and you have to out prepare people as much as you can. That's always been a challenge to me. But I think there's a few people. I don't want to miss anybody on that one, Terry. It's a really good question. I do have some guys that are out there right now that I thought this guy's going to be a head coach someday, and I don't want to mention any names in case I miss somebody. But if you go down the list, I mean, Pat Narduzzi's a power four coach, and I saw something special in him, and obviously he made it. Sam Pittman was the offensive line coach. Now he's the head coach at Arkansas, and we gave him the moniker, his offensive line, Sam's Pitmen, because those guys were horses up front for a long time. And he was just really, really easy to get to know and give you so many insights. And, I mean, there's been a plethora of guys off the NIU coaching tree that have gone on to either be head coaches or assistant coaches at NFL, what have you. And again, if you go back to Coach Hammock right now, I got to call his games and I got to call his last game. When his heart situation was diagnosed, and I remember that vividly. I remember talking to Coach Novak that day, and Coach Novak was in tears, not about Thomas not being able to play, but about Thomas as a person, his health. And obviously, we saw something special about Coach Hammock. We saw something special when he was an assistant here for a while, and he was a natural to come back to lead this NIU program. So he was here at NIU as a player and as an assistant coach.
Have you, over the course of your 40 years with NIU, have you had any memorable road trips, or are there stadiums that you like to visit more than others?
Hey, that's a good one. Memorable road trips, too many to mention, but stadiums, I guess I'm biased because I've been to every Big Ten stadium except for Michigan State from the original band. We've been all over the ACC and we went all over the Big West. A few years we were out west. It wasn't big venues, but it was crazy travel, and we got to see some of the country that you would never be able to see. But I'm definitely biased to the Southeast Conference. I mean, we've seen some incredible places, some incredible atmospheres, and I'm going to miss something. But Kentucky, Tennessee, the Vol Navy. We've been to Florida. Think of the state of Florida, Terry. I mean, we've broadcast and played at Central Florida. We've been at South Florida in Raymond James Stadium. We've been at Miami in the Orange Bowl. We've been at Florida State. So it's just crazy the opportunities we've had. But Southeast Conference, Bama, Tennessee, Auburn, the Warhawk flying in. Those are really special memories, and you can't simulate the kind of experience that those stadiums offer.
If you had any message for Huskies fans after 40 years with the school, what would it be?
I would say be proud to be a Husky, know the tradition that's been there, know the work that was laid out to bring the program to a level that is nationally recognized, a level that can beat a Notre Dame on a given Saturday, a level that expects to get Power Four wins each and every year, a level that wins championships. The proof is in the pudding on that. Just go to the Jordan Center and see the championships listed and the bowl games listed, and to stay on board. NIU is indeed a special place, NIU football is indeed a special sport, and NIU athletics, I think there's still a lot of good things to come. A lot of hurdles to jump because of NCAA regulations, because of legislations, because of all the legalese that's going on out there, but still a very, very special place and a team and a program that I think can still have great success in the future. So jump on board, stay on board.
Well, I don't want to make this seem too much like a career retrospective, like we're saying goodbye to, because this is 40 years is a great accomplishment, but you're not done at NIU. You're not done working in the broadcasting game. It has been, just for myself, awesome working with you this year. So I want to say thank you to you for welcoming me to the broadcast team and for helping me acclimate to NIU. And on behalf of the entire university, a big congratulations to 40 years in the broadcast booth.
Thanks, Terry, and it's been fun having you. It's been a nice crew that we have reassembled here for the NIU Radio Network.
Mark Lindo, thanks again for joining us on NIU Weekly.
My pleasure.
Before we close up today's show, let's take a look at the upcoming schedule as we do every week. It's a little bit thinner this week, the holiday week. Of course, those fall sports are all kind of closing up shop now. The final football game of the season is this Saturday. We've been talking about that one as they take on Central Michigan at home. That game will be on CBS Sports Network if you're not able to get out to Huskie Stadium. And of course, mute the TV, tune into 94.9 WDKB as we'll have the radio broadcast for you as well. And of course, basketball season now is in full swing. Wednesday afternoon, the men's team is at Valparaiso, and the women's team has a local rivalry as they take on UIC Wednesday night, 6 o'clock. That is a home game, so come on out to NIU Convocation Center for that. Men's basketball is back in action on Friday, another road game at Eastern Illinois. And then as we roll over into next week, the men's basketball team hosts Benedictine on Tuesday, December 3rd. Thanks for tuning into this week's show. I really appreciate how loyal you've been, assuming you have been loyal, which I am. Over the last couple of weeks, I know the schedule's been a little bit off because of Maction. We haven't been able to get it out quite at the same time as we always have. So as always, it is important to make sure that you are subscribing to this channel, liking our videos. You'll make sure to get a notification of any time we do release something new. And it's not just NIU Weekly. It's the highlight videos. It's the press conferences. It's all of that stuff. So make sure you're subscribing to the NIU Huskies channel on YouTube. Thanks again to my guests today. Mark Lindo, always a pleasure to catch up with him, and Thomas Hammock, of course. We have him on the show every week, and he always delivers something good. So great to talk to both of those guys on today's show. Remember that our football broadcast will be live at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon on 94.9 WDKB. You can also get that through the TuneIn app or the NIU Huskies app to hear the legend himself, Mark Lindo, along with Andy Garcia, and I'll be on the sideline, of course, for that game as well. Thanks, as always, to Kevin Meyer, who puts this show together each week. Big thanks to Donna Turner, who does a lot of work behind the scenes to help orchestrate the show each week, too. Thanks again to my guests. Thanks, most of all, to you for tuning in each week. I think I've said thanks enough time on this Thanksgiving week. So one more time, I will just say goodbye. Terry Bonadonna signing off. Until next time, go Huskies.